Well, good evening. How are y'all this evening? Welcome to the Wednesday, November the 8th, 2023 meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Anger. I'm going to call things to order, and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, Almighty God, we just went through an election. Sometimes when we go through events like that, our nerves get frayed, but we know that you allow us to move forward from that and to do what is best for this fine town of Anger. Bless us in this coming year as we do your will. Amen. All right, the agenda is before you. Is there a motion regarding the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Since this is our first, we always have public comment on the first meeting of a month. We're not always able to take action on what is brought before us, but we certainly are here to listen. So there are two signed up on the comment period. The first is June Bagley. Come on down and give us your name and address, please.
You might need to adjust that mic first.
It might be okay.
We'll see.
Hi. My name is June Badgley. I live at 36 Kevin Troy Court in Anger in the Whetstone community. I'm here to try to find out if we can get some more traffic signs or speed bumps in our community because the traffic through there is horrendous.
Okay. Let's see. Anyone want to respond to that?
Well, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Then? Yeah, but since
Sure.
we don't normally respond, but I didn't quite get enough information from what you were speaking about. Can you give information as to what type of signs you are thinking about for there?
We have 2 signs in the whole community. One when you come in Whetstone says 20 miles an hour, and one down the block says children at play. That's a big community. We need some more. So people are aware as they're driving down Whetstone or coming down to Kevin Troy Court that there is speed limits through the whole community, not just at the entrance. Or
Okay.
a speed bump or something. We have a lot of children. We have 2 autistic children. We have a blind child. And just a lot of kids playing in the street.
Understand.
And it's not good enough for what I only moved there in July, and the traffic, I can't believe how it comes through there.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you. That
Just
gives us
need
a little bit
some of
more
your
information.
We'll refer that to the town manager for Lee and Jimmy to deal with the town manager, and they'll get back to us, or if
Sure. Okay. Thank you
so,
very
she'll
much.
get up with you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bashley. Yes.
Can you put the timer on top of the...
That probably would help.
I interrupted her.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Pamela Yanis, your name and address, please.
My name is Pamela Yanis. I live on North Street. I have been a resident of this town for 27 years.
Wow.
I have been registered to vote for 18 years, and I'm registered Republican. I have some questions. about some of the code of conduct for the town commissioners. It's come to my attention that on September 28th, a trifold was put up about our current or our upcoming mayor's wife. And one of our town commissioners put it up. I am aware that someone else is claiming that they've made it. I don't believe that. Regardless of that, if that commissioner knew what they were putting up, to be sure they read it, because they were at this meeting, they were there for their husband. So they're taking credit for it when they put it up there. And I've watched the YouTube video, and they've chosen not to put that trifold in there because I'm sure that the Black River Precinct does not want to be affiliated with this issue. But I want to know what the code of conduct is when you guys get inducted. I want to know why no one has talked about this for 41 days. And I want to know why open disdain is okay for our constituents to deal with from one commissioner. I know that the one that has been resigned, the wife is taking credit for this billboard. So why is that acceptable in our town? We obviously as voters have made a point that we want to change in our town by the election results yesterday. We are ready for change. I have lived here since I was a small child. I had to explain to my small children why a woman could not keep her head like this when she saw me get out of my vehicle. I was helping my disabled mother get groceries, and LaRue witnessed me coming out of Food Lion. She is not a fan of me, and I am not a fan of her. But I do know how to present myself in public. However, I am one of those people that if you bother me, I will push your buttons. And I was like, hey, girl! And she did not like it. So I want to know why it's okay for her to behave this way and sit on this board, and it's acceptable. And I'm sure live streamers watching agree with me and have had encounters like this.
Okay.
That's really all I have to say.
We normally don't respond much, but
I don't really want a response. I just want people to be aware that it happened.
But I would.
And our first lady that's coming in is going to have to deal with turmoil from one of our commissioners that's sitting on the board.
Well, okay.
I already have to deal with it as a private citizen.
I would point out that that particular event was not sponsored by the town.
You're right, exactly. And that is why Mr. Eunice did not show up.
Let's leave it at that. How about that? Thank you, though.
It was a Republican-affiliated event, which is why.
Thank you for your comments. That's what we're all about here in America. Freedom of speech. Okay. The consent agenda. We have minutes from the October 3rd and the October 17th meetings. And apparently, apparently we have in the past given donations to the Angier Food Pantry and the Senior Citizen Center, and that got left off. So the motion would be to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, it's approved. Thank you. All right, there's a public hearing. Jeff Jones. I think I'm going to go ahead and open the hearing, if that's all right with you.
Of course.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor, and members of the board. Tonight we have a text amendment to our zoning ordinance related to parking that staff has put forward, and specifically the amount of parking for multifamily and single-family residential. Through some discussions with developers and project review, staff noticed that our ordinance required an excessive amount of parking, specifically when you had units that would have more than 3 bedrooms. When the ordinance currently reads that if you have, let's bring that up, if you have, let's say an apartment that's 1.5 per bedroom plus one space per bedroom over 2. So if you have three bedroom unit, then you're looking at 4 parking spaces to handle that particular unit within the complex. So we had some developers who were in the early stages of their development and showing staff some preliminary plans, and we had seas of parking based off of 4 parking spaces, because some of these new units are going to be 3 and 4 bedrooms, and so staff said, yeah, that seems to be a lot. We certainly don't want to overpark a facility and to have more impervious surface than needed in the town. So we did a little research as it related to parking in residential with some of our adjacent municipalities, Fuquay, Holly Springs, and one of the staff found that 2 parking spaces and some additional parking for guests, 10% of the overall number of required parking spaces, is pretty standard for this area of North Carolina. So we took this amendment to the planning board at their September planning board meeting, and they unanimously recommended for you all to approve this text amendment. Again, it would generally state that each residential unit, whether it be single family or multifamily, would have a minimum of 2 parking spaces. If it was in a complex, apartment complex, condominium complex, or a townhome development, there would be that guest parking that would be required as well.
Okay, just comes to mind, what about a family that has a 17-year-old who's going locally to college, and each of the 3 family members has a car?
Yeah, so this is the minimum, and so developers could always have more. This is what the requirement would be. So if a family had more than 2 cars, they can always use the garage as a parking space, their driveway as a parking space. Hopefully the driveway and the garage is big enough for those cars to be parked at.
As I've driven around, even in my own area, I've noticed some units have 3 and 4 cars, 2 of which are parked next to the unit and 1 or 2 which are parked on the street, which is not a very wide street.
So that would be where that guest overflow parking would need to be parked, where those folks would need to park. So that's one of the things that guest parking takes care of.
So
people don't like to walk from the guest parking to their unit; they want to park in front. So that's something we would have to monitor.
So what's the net effect of what you're changing then?
It would be a reduction in the amount of parking for particularly multifamily townhome communities in particular. We're seeing those in the town. So it would be a reduced amount of parking for the overall development.
So Jeff, I'm a little confused now. When I hear houses in a development that have garages, that's one thing. But I don't know. I'm thinking about the townhouses that don't have any driveway parking or garage parking.
Right.
That's what I'm looking at. So the individual homes that may be a 4-bedroom, I'm assuming if you bought a 4-bedroom house, or that it could be a townhouse, granted.
Could be.
But I'm hearing what Bob is saying too. I know that even in the housing developments, they have supplied guest parking, and no one wants to use it. They want to park in the street in front of the homes. And for a party or a gathering once or twice, that's okay. It's not an answer for everyday parking when the household has 4 cars.
Right.
So I'm looking at this in a townhome situation or an apartment situation. So if it's a townhome and there's no driveway and no garage, I'm not so sure that unless they were to do where I'm using myself an example of apartments that I used to own, where there were no driveways, but yes, we calculated perhaps 2 cars per unit, but then along with that came 8 extra parking spaces for guests and other I want to make sure that we're not cutting it short. I do think that a space per bedroom is a little excessive.
Sure.
And but I'm not quite sure that I'm understanding what they approved as to what they're asking us to pull it down to. I do think a bedroom space per bedroom is excessive, but if you're going to pull down the number, then you need to require so many extra spaces in ratio to that for guests.
So the 10% could be modified. You could ask for more than that. And that would be something that you could do tonight. You could say, because we've advertised for 10, you could also, I think, attorney, could they go additionally beyond 10, or would we have to sort of modify that in the public hearing? Could they say 25%? I guess
you're asking if there's a substantial change.
Right.
Turn your mic on, please.
If there's a substantial change in what we're proposing here, do we need to renotice the hearing, I guess is the question.
Right.
And is that a substantial change is the subpart of that question.
Sure.
I think as long as we have noticed to the public that we are considering amending this ordinance to increase the time or increase that, I think that's sufficient.
Or decrease?
Or decrease.
Decrease. And I understand the ploy here. I am glad that you are considering what we are creating in, what would I say, impervious runoff space. The more we keep piling in the parking lots that aren't going to be used, then that's just more runoff creation too. So I'm taking that into consideration. Anybody else have any thoughts? I want to make sure that we don't.
There's always the possibility of someone is in a situation where they just have so many people in the house, 3 teenagers and 2 parents,
Sure.
that they could come to the board and seek an exception. But do we need to?
Board of Adjustment. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, the Board of Adjustment.
That would be the minimum. They could always park more. We don't really have, outside of stormwater ordinances and what can be treated in a stormwater device, people can generally park or pave concrete their driveway or their garage. So if somebody wanted to have 5 cars on their property parked, there's really nothing in the ordinances that's.
Like I said, I think we're talking about 2 different things.
Yes.
If I live in a townhouse or an apartment, then I'm not paving a drive. It's not built for that. I'm thinking about the townhomes, the apartments that they have proper parking. They can't change it. I mean, so I want to make sure that we've given a good ratio, at least for the overflow. I mean, I think, yes, it's rare that anybody has 4 cars in their home. I'm not saying it's not possible, Bob.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at number of, say, bedrooms or whatever, I just want to make sure that we have included a ratio to bump it up, that there's extra parking beyond what we don't want them to just build 2 per unit, and then there's nowhere else to park.
But this is just the minimum, as you said. They can add
They can,
more.
and specifically like an apartment complex, those developers are going to know, a bigger apartment complex developer, they're going to know generally how many 1-bedroom units they have, 2 bedrooms, 3-bedroom units, and they're going to park their facility, their complex appropriately. Some jurisdictions maximize the amount of parking. You can only have a certain amount. Andrew does not do that. We haven't gotten to that point yet where we don't really have stormwater regulations where we need to do that. So again, this is the base. If any developer wanted more, they could. But you do have to worry about the base, and is the base enough? And so if you feel like that 2 per unit, whether it's 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom, then we may need to consider something else, or up the percentage of guest parking.
And then what was the percentage if it sat at 2 per unit? Then what is the guest parking or a 3rd car to a household?
Well, it would be, so guest parking would be over the overall development. So if the development had required 100 parking spaces for those townhomes. Let's say there was 50 townhomes in this development, and your baseline was 2 per unit, and that would be 100 parking spaces, and then you would have 10 on top of that. So 110 parking spaces.
And this is prospective, right?
Yes, yes.
And when would it start? When
Well,
would the effect be on a
It would be on
given subdivision?
Any new subdivision that comes in for review.
What about are you saying once it's reviewed, even though it's not platted yet, or, I mean, not recorded yet, or what's the cutoff?
So anything that's under review now would be able to have a choice of the ordinance. So there's developer's choice, so they could fall under the current ordinance or any amended ordinance. Some developers may say, well, I can cut back on impervious surface. I may choose to do this new ordinance. But anything moving forward that's newly submitted, would fall under any amended ordinance.
But here again, if somebody came in with 4 separate submissions on one plot of land, if they finished the first and were into the second and the third had been approved, would the fourth be under the new ordinance?
I would. So we have a multi-unit townhome development, and so we've approved three of the 4 phases. If the 4th phase has not been approved, it's not been reviewed by the town, then that 4th phase would act on its own.
So that would cross over in that the number of spaces for the entire subdivision would be affected, right?
It could be. Or the developer could say, well, I can see how the development is going. We need to have, what we were currently requiring 1.5 per bedroom plus 1 bedroom over 2. That's what should be, if we've approved projects, that's what should be for townhomes. And the developer could say, well, I just want to stick with that because I can see that I'm going to need that extra parking spaces.
Okay, is this in the ordinance itself? This like this?
So the strike through is.
No, I mean, is the table in the ordinance?
The table, our parking requirements are in the permitted use table. It's a column within the permitted use table. So you would be amending the permitted use table as it relates to parking for residential.
Any further questions from the board?
And how big of a problem has this become, and why you're asking? Because they'd like to just not pave as much. I mean, I wasn't aware that this was a problem, so I'm having trouble wrapping my head around why it needs to be changed.
Well, we haven't had a whole lot of apartments. We have had
I know.
townhomes. So in single-family residential detached, it says 3 per dwelling. Are we getting that? I don't know. So we'd have to look at that. But again, new development usually has a 2-car garage and at least a driveway for at least 2 other cars. So those things are being taken care of.
Many times the 2-car garage, at least part of that is storage.
Absolutely.
Nowadays.
Absolutely. It is. But from a being sort of looking at it at the beginning, that's what we count those garage spaces as parking. Alan, back to your point, I don't know if it's been a problem to date, but at least a couple of developers have foreseen their project and being specifically entirely townhomes, and so
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, and so they're looking at a fairly large townhome development that may have 3 and 4 bedrooms, and then they're looking at 4 to 5 parking spaces per unit, and that seems to be overkill. But if you feel like 2 plus 10% is a little light, we can certainly look at the guest parking or 1 per bedroom.
I think the guest
back
parking
off
would
of
be
the
bumped
back
up.
off of the 1.5 per bedroom and just say 1 per bedroom.
Well, I personally would say you do need to bump it up. But my first point is, I'm always of this nature. If it's not a problem and it's not broke, why fix it?
Well,
I don't get this.
Well,
I
I can't
so
speak for others who have been in my position and how they have reviewed plans for approval, and whether this was wholly looked at as something that was. If I were here, if I'd been here for 5 years, and I
Sure.
could tell you, yes, we've absolutely held people to these standards, then you're right. What's the problem? But I can't say that. I can't say that that plans have been reviewed with these parking standards in place.
What is a bedroom?
Where you sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
You think I'm being facetious?
There's building codes. I think it has to have a.
it has to have a closet.
Closet, a window.
Okay,
egress,
so
egress.
we've got 4 rooms, 2 of which are bedrooms currently, one of which is a sewing room, which could be used as a bedroom, another which is an office, which could be used as a bedroom. So what is a bedroom?
When they come to get building permits, they tell us that this is going to be a 3-bedroom unit or a
Okay.
2-bedroom unit. That's how we calculate
Okay.
it. Yeah. Modifications after the fact to let's say a garage or to that sewing room, we don't necessarily know those all the time.
Any other questions?
Let it go.
Is there a motion?
You need open public hearing.
Yeah.
I did the motion. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I've opened it, so
Yeah.
is there anyone who would like to speak about this? I'll be all right.
Yeah, so I'm not a developer, but,
And who are you?
Bob Usness, 574 North Broad Street East.
I think I've heard of you. Yeah,
As long as I don't owe you money, we're good.
right. Congratulations to you and the other 2 commissioners.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's give them a hand.
Thank you. So I'm doing math on my fingers in the audience here, and I can understand how for a 4-bedroom townhouse, and Jeff can correct me if my math is wrong, but by the current ordinance, if you go back to that, for a condominium or a townhome, which looks like the same ordinance for parking, if you had a 4-bedroom, you would need 6 spaces plus 7 parking spaces for a 4-bedroom unit, and that does sound excessive when we're talking about 3 or 4-bedroom units. So I think there's room to come down or change the wording there. The rhetorical question I have is, it's nice to say that if we have them make less parking, then we'll have more impervious surface for stormwater, but I would pose the question that is there any requirement for them to save that land for stormwater, or maybe they build a couple more townhomes on the space that they're saving for parking. That being said, on the new proposal, can we go there? So I'm thinking future. We don't have any big apartment buildings or condos or anything yet.
Yeah.
But it's foreseeable. I think there needs to be a divide between maybe multifamily and single family, because I don't think that 2 per dwelling is enough for a 3 or 4-bedroom house. Now it's different because when you have a driveway and a garage, it doesn't have to be as defined because there's more parking. Maybe we call it off-street parking for single family or something like that. In my opinion, I have always kind of felt, having driven through neighborhoods in Holly Springs and trying to get my very large truck through the streets with the trash cans and the cars parked and the trash truck coming, and I've always kind of thought in my head, the math would be really easy if we had 1 space per bedroom. On a single family, you could say 1 off-street parking, whether that's a 2-car garage and 2 spaces in front of it, could be considered 4 off-street parking spots. And in a multifamily, maybe 1 space per bedroom plus 1 for guest overflow. So then in a 4-bedroom townhome, you would require 5 parking spots. And to your point, I don't think that's too much if you've got three kids that, even two kids that drive, and two parents that have a cars, 4 cars for a 4-bedroom, and then one if somebody comes to visit. Seems reasonable. Now, I have a lot of cars, so
I
I'm not
noticed.
going to live in the
Yeah,
townhome because
yeah.
I probably can't. But I don't know. I was listening to him and I thought I could give some input.
Okay,
So
thank you.
That'll leak.
Makes a lot of sense.
Other comments, please?
No, that's perfectly fine. We could, you all could modify the ordinance that's proposed to do 1 per bedroom, and then some guest parking at 10% or what have you.
Because right now we're sitting at 1 per bedroom plus 1 guest.
1.5. So when the math was just done on a 4
Per guest or per bedroom?
per bedroom.
Per bedroom.
Yes. So you're doing a car and a half.
Okay. Well,
Per bedroom.
all right. Okay.
So that seems a little
What-
much.
It is.
What
Okay.
if mom
All
and
right.
daddy both have a car?
Well, they do, but hopefully maybe one of
Let
those
me
other
put it
bedrooms
down to
nobody's
one.
driving in
I
that
think
one.
1 and then 25%.
Or 1
What do you
guest.
think?
I do want to point out the average household size in Harnett County is 2.76. So I don't know if that matters, but there's not a whole lot of families of 4 and 5 out there on average.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to throw this out there because, like you said, I would say let the 1.5 is excessive, and that we bring it down to the 1 per
Per
bedroom,
bedroom.
Okay.
and then the 1 extra space, the way it sits right now. So we've pulled down on a 3-bedroom house. We pulled out 1.5 spaces. If I'm to,
So on a
I say
4-bed
that's a starting point, which is good, and start there. Listen, this can all be voted on again later as you are,
make-
after a year or 6 months, have gotten more complaints or information. But my motion would be, if there's no more discussion, I'll make a motion.
Let's sort of, so we'll strike the 1.5 down to 1, right? And then we'll do 1 per bedroom over 2, correct? Want to keep it, or you just want to do 1 extra per unit?
I think all you need is, otherwise, what does that mean? In a 4-bedroom house, now you've added 2 extra guest spaces.
I think that's what it would mean, yes.
So in
One per
just feel like
unit.
1 per unit is all
Okay,
that's needed.
okay.
That,
so like a 4-bedroom, get 4 parking spots plus 1.
yes. That sounds
Okay.
logical to me. And I am really wrapping my head only around these townhomes and things.
Sure.
I just don't, that's where the issue is going to occur, and people are going to be out in the streets blocking them, and it is a problem.
And so I think that takes care of the townhome, the apartments, condominiums, and townhomes, and probably duplexes. But there still is the single-family detached and temporary emergency residence. Right now, there's 3 per dwelling for single family. You could just modify that language to say 1 per bedroom. And then that would take care of potentially anyone that has 2-bedroom home or 4-bedroom home. That would take care of that. So I want to make sure before we motion.
See, there's a lot of things being encompassed here.
Right,
Okay.
right. And then temporary emergency residence, 2 per dwelling seems fine. We don't-
What is that?
I guess.
Explain,
I guess
stupid
if-
me.
if
What
we
is
had a
that?
disaster that came through and we needed to put emergency temporary shelters or housing up for folks,
Okay.
then we would have 2 per unit, 2 per house.
Okay. All right. Thank
I
you,
don't
because
know.
that one.
That's the only
went
reason.
right
I
over my
can
head.
think of. Yeah.
What about duplexes?
Yep. Duplexes right now are 1.5 per bedroom. You could take that down to 1 per
1
bedroom.
per bedroom.
And then 1 per unit.
Yep.
Yeah. So it would mirror the townhomes.
Townhomes and apartments. Yeah.
apartments. Yeah. I think y'all got it. So if y'all
Yeah.
wanted a motion.
And
I'll-
still do the 10%?
Well,
Yes.
I think the
That would
one
eliminate that
extra
10%.
per
Okay, well,
unit.
we need to make sure we put that in the motion.
Because again, if you go back to that scenario of a 50-unit complex, then
Exactly.
you're going to have 50 extra parking spaces.
Exactly. So we
So-
need to make sure we make
So
that motion.
the 1 extra per unit gives them that extra
It gives
parking,
Yeah.
whether it's to their family or to other people.
Right.
I think I can put that together in a motion. You may
Right.
have to help me.
All right, we'll help you through.
Any further comments from the congregation here? If not, I'll close the public hearing. What do you guys think, other than what you thought already?
So what I'm seeming to remember now at this point is that we changed the ordinance to one parking space per bedroom with an additional one guest spot that has to go with that unit as well. So that's getting rid of the 1.5, bringing it down to 1. And that does apply to homes, townhomes, apartments, duplexes, and condominiums. And in the world of emergency facilities or temporary whatever that would be, we're also bringing that down to 1 from 1.5 with, I think in that one,
I thought we were going 2 on that.
Yeah, so I think we've taken care of the ones that are 1.5s. That would be apartments, condominiums, townhomes, and duplexes.
yes.
The remaining ones would be single family, and we talked about 1 per bedroom on that. And then temporary emergency residencies, we've
Was
talked
2.
about just leaving it at 2.
2.
2.
Yeah.
Leave it, yes, where it is.
Still a little concerned. In my neighborhood, we have Campbell University students who stay in a normal 2-bedroom, and there are 4 or 5 of them, trying to keep the cost down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't become a problem. If it does, as Alan has pointed out, we can always come back and limit the amount of parking, or off-street parking has to be on site, not in the street. There's other ways to remedy those issues if they become an issue.
Right. Did you get all that, Madam Clerk, over there?
All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make them.
I made
Yeah.
the motion.
He just read it off.
He
and
read
you-
it back
Yeah.
as
Okay.
we clarified it.
Okay. Did y'all get all that? All right. Any further discussion on that?
I think we covered it. I hope.
All right. If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. And that would be unanimous. Okay.
Thank you, Board.
Like you say, we can come back if this appears to create problems. We can come back and tweak it.
I think you all did.
All right. You got the next thing too, I believe.
I think
New business.
we're rolling into new business and have some good news for the town. The town has been awarded a pedestrian grant by the NCDOT to update our pedestrian plan that was written back in 2014. So it is in desperate need to be updated. My predecessor applied for a grant from the bicycle and mobility section. And so we were awarded a grant of $45,000 where we only have to match 10%, so $4,500. DOT will administer the grant. We just have to pay our portion. This is a grant that we've had in the past, and this time it came around, and we got awarded this grant. So that's good news for us. This will be a project that starts later this year or probably early next year. Now that we're in November. But this will be a year-long project that will, DOT will hire a consultant. They have a bench of consultants that they work with. We will pick one. Last time it was benchmark planning. They've done good work. It may be them again. It may be another one. But once that consultant is identified, then we will have a kickoff meeting, probably in front of this board, for to introduce it. And what we would be asking for you all to do is, you all and your next folks in your seats, to appoint a steering committee. In the past, the steering committee has been appointed that mainly consisted of administration, planning, Parks and Rec, engineering, some folks from like the chamber and other local folks who are interested in pedestrian planning. So that would be a consideration for the future board to appoint a steering committee. That would be outside of staff. Staff would obviously.
Will they take into account that the bypass will change the dynamics of pedestrian traffic in Anger?
Well, the goal is to connect those areas of town that have blossomed since 2014 that aren't connected to the central part of town. How do we get to the Coble Farms of the world, the Kennebec crossings, now we're going to have Highland Ridge and Wimberley, those are on the hinterlands, the very edges of Anger. And right now we don't have a greenway plan or a plan for sidewalks to connect those places. As pointed out in the application, we do have ordinances that require sidewalks, and that's very good of the town, internally to projects and along the external boundary of the project, but we don't necessarily fill in those gaps. So we want this plan to help us identify where the gaps are and how to get those folks moving towards town or wherever they would like to move to. And that could be a combination of sidewalks and or greenways or bike paths or what have you. But that'll be something that we'll be looking at in this next year.
Okay, any further questions?
So tonight, what we would ask you all to do is to authorize the town manager to execute the grant contract, and that would be encumbering the town the $4,500 for us to participate in the grant.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, is there a motion to do just that?
I make a motion to direct the town manager to execute pedestrian grant agreement with NCDOT.
Any further discussion based on that motion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, board.
All right, good job. Thank you. All right, Shelby. Looking good, girl.
Hello, my name is Shelby. I'm the director of the Anger Chamber of Commerce, and I am here tonight to ask for road closures for Christmas on the Square, which is December the 1st. This is the first year we've done it on a Friday night. We feel like it'll help our kids that are part of the nativity scene. They don't have to hurry up and get home for school the next day, so we're going to try it on a Friday night this year. We do want to close the area right behind the caboose to the right there to the intersection of South Broad Street, right behind where the depot parking lot is at, to allow exit for our hayride vehicles, safe exit, so the police officers will be able to kind of control that. So we only need that little section closed for that one event that Friday. And then for the Christmas parade, it will be December the 2nd. It will be 10 o'clock. That's on a Saturday morning, and Alan is going to be our MC here for our Christmas parade. And we will need to, what we're going to do last year is we ended at Jack Morley Park. Well, that didn't work out. We had to try it, but now we're going back to Andrew Baptist Church. So anyway, we will. What will happen? The parade entries will leave either Andrew Elementary School or Andrew Baptist Church. They will head to the parade route by the depot, and then they will actually turn behind Bob's house over there and come back out on Dunn Street and head back to Andrew Baptist. But we would need that closure from about 7 that morning to 11 till 7 in the morning to 11 that morning. The parade should be over by 11. So we would just need it during those hours. And we say close it early at 7 just because we know that people like to try to come and park on Broad Street over there by All Good and Healthy and Nappertandy's, and we just can't have that during the parade. I hate to have anybody towed when that happens. So, but I didn't even tell you about the road closures on Christmas on the Square. It would be from 4 to 9 that Friday night. So that would be that small road closure, and then the road closure for the parade, and that would be it.
Any discussion?
No, I think good idea to try this, see how it works. We won't know until we've closed that road one time on a Friday afternoon As opposed to a Thursday afternoon.
But it's only right behind the caboose, correct?
Yeah,
Just
right
that one. That one.
Yeah, it's just that one little section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah, to allow
but
for
I
our
think-
hay rides to
yeah.
come out safe.
You don't know until you've tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a good event.
Okay. Well, thank you and the chamber for all your work
Thank you
and,
so
and
much.
those two events.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion. I'm just going to rack them up here in my last
'em up.
meetings.
All right.
I'm going to be down on the record of having made all these motions. I make a motion that we grant the road closure requested by the chamber for the tree lighting and the Christmas parade.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your left hand.
Thank you, guys.
It's okay. It's 3-0. Yes. Didn't want to discriminate here. Okay. All right. The November workshop meeting. Elizabeth, what you got?
Hello, Mayor and Board. For your consideration is the cancellation of the November workshop meeting. It falls the week of Thanksgiving, and I know a lot of our staff have plans with their family, and so this would be a benefit to the staff to not have to prepare for a November workshop meeting.
Do you know of anything that's pending that would?
I don't know of anything pressing at
Okay.
this time.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. The motion's been made to cancel the November workshop meeting due to Thanksgiving. Discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand again. Just keeping you honest. Okay. Thank you. All right. Unanimous. Okay. The DOT layout. Well, Jimmy's got 3 things, so we'll bring you up for 4, 5, and 6.
We're going to keep up with the parking theme tonight.
Yes.
Good evening, Board. Hope everybody's doing well. Rocky, can you pull those up for us?
That needs to go forward. There we go.
So if Mr. Board recalls, several months ago, DOT presented us with a couple options on our turn lanes. This is the area down here by the Red Barn. So this has probably been in the works for, I think 4 or 5 years to try to get this done. So what DOT is proposing is if you're heading east along 210, when you come to Willow Street, there's going to be a left-hand turn lane here to be able to turn onto Willow Street. I know sometimes that backs up during park events, so just trying to keep a better flow going east along 210. And as you noticed, when we put in that DOT put in that sidewalk along where the Red Barn is, that area, some people have used it for parking. It wasn't made for on-street parking, but as you're coming west along 210 from Smithfield into Angier, you have a little bit of variation right here, and then you'll continue straight, and then you have an option for a right turn lane onto Dunn Street, or you'll slide over and continue straight through the downtown area. So that's the proposal that DOT is offering there to do that, and so they just kind of wanted us to review that and give your blessing or any recommendations that the board may have, or any questions for that we can relay those back to them.
Have the adjoining landowners had any comment?
Well, this is all within DOT right away.
I know,
so-
but just in case, yeah.
You don't think that's going to be a problem there by Willow Street where it jots back in and back out again? I'm afraid there's going to be a head-on crash there.
Talking about
Yeah,
through
right
here?
there, yeah.
So where they've got these bars marked, so you'll just have a gradual lane switched over here and going and heading west, or excuse me, heading west. They'll have to do a little bit of work right there at this intersection.
Yeah, and
Right now it's they'll do a little bit of
Right.
work right there.
hopefully people pay attention
Which
if they
that's
see
coming
that.
into a downtown business area anyhow, so I think that's marked at 20 miles an hour. So it should
Yes.
be going at 20 miles an hour through there.
We need more signs up in downtown that says it's 20 miles an hour.
Still going to have a lot of trucks, probably.
Yeah.
That is something to consider, that certain streets are not allowed for trucks. I mean the large delivery trucks that are trying to cut their way through town like everybody else has learned
I'd
to
say
do.
there's a lot of problems
that-
going down Broad Street
that
where
there's
a lot of big dump
no-
trucks are trying
Willow.
to take a shortcut and go down Broad Street. I think we need to look at that too.
Keep in mind we have limited stuff we can do with the state highways, 55
sure.
and 210, but
Well,
like
I'm
with
talking about
Willow
just-
or Broad or
yeah.
something like
Well,
that.
That's
like
a
Willow
side
Street, we
street.
could put signs up saying no large dump trucks.
That's technically not within this topic tonight.
Well, I mean, this is definitely I mean, I like this better than what they had proposed in the beginning, I think, here for this. And these turning lanes are really going to help immensely, because all it takes is one to want to turn and traffic is stopped forever.
Right.
And I do feel this is good. As you said, those were never meant to be parking spaces in front of that block right there.
Yes, sir.
So I don't look at that as losing. I read something about, potential loss of space. I never look at that as, and rarely is there anybody there anyway, but I don't look at that as a loss. And I feel the gain here of these turning lanes is going to help immensely.
We see that as a positive because before, like I said, looks like you can probably stack 7 or 8 cars here, especially on nights that they've got ball games going on where everybody's trying to get in, especially off of that,
Right.
that area there.
I mean, is
And
this
obviously when they put these in, they're going to monitor these, because if they see issues, which you mentioned about, that's steep little angle right there, they'll take all that into consideration.
Jimmy, are they doing temporary striping on this part as well to monitor?
That I have to confirm.
Okay.
But I'll mention to him about doing the temporary
Okay.
striping on that. So, just to bring you up to speed, a couple of these projects we're going to do some temporary striping, but DOT's looking at probably a spring let for paving NC 210, and so they'll probably do their striping at that time when they resurface everything.
Okay. So what is our action?
So we would just like to make a motion to approve the proposed left turn lane onto Willow Street. And they just had the board's blessing, so to speak, so we can send that over to DOT, saying that you're okay with this proposal.
Well, I'd give it a shot.
And the implications that flow from that in terms of the other lanes, yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's in the picture. Is there a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve that.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, it's passed. Now, numbers, the second one is 55 and 210.
Yes, sir. It's going to be 55 and 210. So this is the area. This was brought to you before several months ago, and we really didn't have a clean version of it. So we finally got DOT to give a cleaner version of that marked up area. So this area right here is First Citizens Bank here, and as we all know, between lights, this all gets backed up right through here. And because if you've got one person that wants to go straight, and you may have everybody else wanting to turn right, we're all stuck right here behind all that traffic.
You can't get to the left turn lane.
That is correct, without having to get over the center lane, which you're not supposed to do. So here's what they've got proposed here. So all the on-street parking right along First Citizens Bank will go away. So that will create your right turn lane for people to turn north onto North Raleigh Street. You'll still have your through lane to be able to go to Lillington, and then you'll have your left turn lane to be able to go on South Raleigh Street. Now, right here in front of these businesses, you will lose that on-street parking here, but you'll still be able to keep these where you can see where these cars pick up right here, almost close to R.H. Ellington sign. You'll be able to pick up those parking right there. And then that way, you'll have that parking. So when you turn, if you're coming from Fuquay and you turn left onto 210, as you come around in front of the buildings, then you'll skirt back over and then get into the straight lane to be able to continue east on NC 210. So the only disadvantages here is just that few parking, but you'll get a better flow of traffic, even though you may lose probably the 4 or 5 parking stalls that are right here.
Well, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Flow of traffic, yes.
Yep. A lot of this, what I saw with the big trucks when they were trying to make this turn, if somebody was here, people would actually, you can almost see where the white line is right now, the existing white line. People would park there. It would make it a little bit difficult for a truck to be able to
That turn.
get around there. So if we're not having any cars there, that's a better turn radius for the larger trucks heading in that direction. This is the area that we definitely will do the temporary striping just to kindly see a flow and see how everything works with that. And then they'll come back and do the thermo striping if we like the flow of traffic there.
We've been blessed with that intersection. That was a project of R.H. Ellington when he was mayor. It's really been helpful to the community.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work in the four corners over here in the last 20 years. Before, we had light poles on the corner that used to get hit, and we got with DOT to try to, make that a better turn radius through there.
So are they going to extend the left turn lane, you said, further down?
So your left turn lane will start right in here where that 10 is. And so you'll have probably about 5 or 6 car lengths, it looks like, in here to be able to make the left turn lane. Those arrows right there are the existing ones right now. So where you've got, there's your first 10 to the right, there's your straight, and then there's your other 10-foot left turn. So you'll be able to stack probably about the same amount that you've got there now. Yes, sir. But like I said, you're creating, a larger right turn lane for basically the whole block.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd see no problem with that at all. I mean, we're kind of limited anyways in that area anyways to do anything.
Yeah, usually when I come in the morning right here, you've got your people right here at the intersection where it's all blocked up and they're all waiting to go. That way you can almost stack it looks like you can stack twice the amount of cars that are there going through there.
I wish we could do something about the traffic on 210 in the short term, but that doesn't seem likely. Yeah. So this should help.
I think the double stacking right there will
make a difference. Yeah, so. I agree.
And same thing here, Mayor. Is just we just need a motion for that we're okay with this proposal, and then we can send that back to DOT.
Is there such a motion?
There is, and before I do it, I know that there will be a little bit of cutback on the fact that I don't know how many count that what we're losing. 3 to 4 parking spaces right there in front of those businesses.
Well, that's more in front of the Mexican restaurant where they got all that parking in the back.
Yes, I mean there's the community books, the book space, whatever. There are a few there, but you have to look at the gain and loss here. The gain of this traffic flow is far greater, and there again, we have a lot of open space over there in front of the town hall. That whole street, it's only stepping across the street to walk into a business, and I always feel that the benefit of the big picture is what we need to look at here, and I think it's worth the shot here. So therefore, I make a motion to authorize staff to conduct NCDOT to investigate a mid-block crossing at, no, wrong one.
Turn lanes on NC 55 and 210.
I do see your hand back there, but I don't think that would be up to the mayor as to whether or not we open up for public comment, which we don't normally do. So I'm just throwing that. I didn't want you to think you were waving and being neglected. So,
what is the sense of the board? Go ahead and do your motion. So,
5A. It's not listed that way here on this. Oh. Make a motion that NCDOT layout for Highway 55 and Highway 210, that we make the changes for that turn lane there at that intersection.
Okay. Further discussion about that? Who was it that wanted to say something? In my discretion, I'm going to allow that. If you'll come forward, please, sir.
Chester Hartwell. it seems to me you need a no left turn onto, what is it, West Broad Street from 210. I sit in the Andrew Museum every Saturday and watch the traffic, and someone's going to try to make a left-hand turn going north. That stops all your traffic on 210 going east.
How many lanes are there next to the
So you
depot?
just got the one straight through.
Yeah.
This right here is on-street parking there beside the depot. So you'll still have that. You just got the one turn lane. I think what he's mentioned is you'll have cars right here, and somebody like during 5 o'clock traffic may want to try to turn left onto North Broad Street East, and then it kind of backs up this traffic. This location.
If DOT would figure out a way to, I mentioned it to him a couple of weeks ago, to get rid of all this traffic on 210, we'd be in better shape, wouldn't we? If we could divert it and have it go over to the bypass. But anyway, all right. You've heard the motion. Any further discussion?
Is there? That's a good question on what he just brought up. I totally forgot about that. That traffic does back up there, especially around 5 o'clock during the weekday. Be someone trying to make a left-hand turn there.
It seems
Even
like
in the morning, also too. I should say, also in the morning, I come through there and it's backed up because people can't make a left turn because traffic is going through there.
There are some signs that you can put in an intersection, do not stop in the intersection, and that would leave it open for the left-hand turn.
Well, we have them. They don't work.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
We're working on that,
Okay.
aren't we, Lee?
The only thing that you could do here is if you wanted to make this a left turn lane, then this would be more of your straight through here. So, but you will lose all this parking right here.
And it would be an awkward turn to get back on the rest of 210 going east.
Right. I have seen people here that actually go around them when there's no cars here.
Right.
They'll go around and just to continue straight.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, given the limitations, I don't know.
I mean, it could be something that can be monitored and see.
I started to say,
think
you
we
say
need
they're going to temporarily
Yeah.
try this.
I think we need to see how that works.
I'm sorry.
I think we need to do something like that to see if that works or not.
We'll mention that to them is to go ahead and proceed with the plan, but we want to look at this area right here when they do their temporary striping, that we've got concerns with people trying to get here and trying to turn left, how that blocks, if there's something that we can do.
And
The only thing that I see is you lose this parking here.
I think that's the essence of the motion, that
Again, I mean, they got
give it back
parking
to
across the
DOT.
street, so.
Yeah.
Or
And-
in the depot parking
Well,
lot there.
Well, I mean, I think we go with the motion to try what is being proposed here, and I hear what you're saying. I think the answer, given where it is, and we know how bad it is, I would say try this, but then consider dropping those other 4 parking spaces and clear up that congestion from stoplight to stoplight.
That's what I was saying. They got.
I mean,
parking
we've
across
got,
the street.
again, there's a whole nother parking lot right around on the other depot side. It's rare that those, unless there's an event going on, it's rare that those spaces, that anybody pulls up in front of the museum or depot and sits there all day long, to block it. And your other thing then becomes, well, there's no parking in these spaces. Many towns do no parking here from 4 to 7, but I could see doing away with those other 4 parking spaces and create a turn lane there.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, I do. The traffic is our biggest problem.
Yes.
It's the big complaint of everybody from everywhere, even if they don't live here. And anything that we can do, then we may have to walk a few more steps to add a parking space that's not right at the front door. But I think that the traffic issue, so much of it's out of our control because it is Highway 55 and 210 and it's DOT, and we don't have any control over it.
Well,
But-
if we had an alternative, though, we could restrict truck traffic through downtown. But, for instance, we'd have to go over and meet with the bypass or something. Yeah.
But I'd say this could be the temporary try, but I would push for those people coming along later that I would totally see removing those 4 other spaces and create a turn lane.
So if I'm understanding what the board wants us to approach DOT with is see if we can put a left turn lane here, maybe not have it so long. I don't think we've got a whole bunch of cars
No,
here. but
maybe 1 or 2 spots.
Okay, and then maybe able just to transition right through here and do that then.
Yep.
We can do that.
Okay, the motion is before you. All in favor, please raise your right hand. That would be 3. That's unanimous. Okay. A lot of good discussion. Thank you, folks. This is not an easy thing to fix. So, all right. The third thing for Mr. Cook is the mid-block crossing at East Depot and Ed's Restaurant. We had asked about this earlier, but apparently they declined to do it. Are we going to try it again?
One corner or the next.
We can try it. We need it.
Okay, so this is just a street view of the area we talked about. So we've looked at trying to put a mid-block crossing. This is Ed's here to the right. And then we've got alleyway, which goes to the new parking lot that we just put in here. So we've reached out to them several times. They weren't too keen on doing a mid-block crossing. We decided if the board gives us a blessing, we would reach out again. The disadvantage to doing this is you probably would lose 4 parking stalls on each side. You'd lose this, and you'd lose a couple right here to put a mid-block crossing on there. Now, even if the board recommends us, gives their blessing on doing that, DOT may still say we can't warrant a mid-block crossing there. Mm-hmm. So we can say that a board is recommending it. Can you please review it and look at it again? So, but just remember now we've got a crossing right here at this light, and then we've got a crossing right there at Dunn Street. So,
But the problem is everybody crosses right there to go down to the parking lot, and that's.
You look at advantage, disadvantage. So if this red truck right here, he's not going to walk back to this crosswalk here. He's going to walk right across.
Right.
This white car is just going to walk straight across.
Yep.
So nobody, you've got safe places for everybody to cross. It's just if they choose to walk across to get to the safe spot.
Yep.
But everybody's just going to take the least path of resistance. So
They are, but again, I don't feel that losing those parking spaces or putting a crosswalk there, the minute you do, we're required to stop for those people. That's going to jam that traffic up there even more in a mid-block crossing. It's not even the parking spaces being lost there as much as it is for me. We are required to stop because people want to cross. We're making it way too easy, and it's only a half a block to one crosswalk or a half block the other way to another crosswalk that we are required to stop for them for. I don't think putting a third one within 1 block is necessary.
Is it possible, though, that would break up the traffic so that what's on the other side of the crosswalk would actually get through the light?
Exactly. That's.
I don't think so. They're going to
most
block
of the time
that
it's more at
intersection anyway.
lunchtime than it is anything else, not during rush hour.
remember also about a year ago, DOT put up the actual crosswalk signals right here at Broad Street, to enhance people to go to those areas. We don't have one at Dunn Street.
Right.
You could put it there, but I'm telling you, if somebody's even parked between that and the next corner, they're going to get out of their car and walk across the street.
Yep.
I see it happen. I'm down there, not as much as you were, Jim, but I've been at the chamber. They're going to walk right across the street, no matter where you put the crosswalk.
Well, but we do have an obligation to try to provide a safe place for them to cross.
Well, we're talking a half a block in one direction or the other. That's my argument. I don't.
But nobody wants to walk that box. It's pretty obvious.
Well, if you put it there, they're still not going to utilize it.
I just think it's another wedge waiting to block up traffic, and that just doesn't need to occur when you only got a half a block to walk in one direction or the other.
Folks, that's why they pay us the big bucks to try to figure out these things. Actually, they don't, but anyway.
$2.98.
Okay.
Shit.
Are you ready to vote?
I am ready to make a motion. I make a motion that we do not approve the mid-walk cross on this street.
Discussion.
I think it'll be an advantage to it, but that's my personal opinion.
I don't think it can be utilized.
Okay.
I hear you. I do hear you.
We see they don't utilize it as isn't that the majority of the accidents that are happening right now is right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to not submit the mid-block crossing, raise your right hand. Oppose? So it fails.
The motion passes.
The motion.
The crossing fails.
Right.
The motion passes.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's why we have attorneys. Okay. All right. Jimmy?
I think that's all I've got to present, but just want to, instead of me coming back up for my department head speech, just let everybody know, go check out our planners that our staff has planted. We put some trees out there, got some lights, so we can go out at night, go take a look at the lights, make sure they meet everybody's approval, and next week we'll be putting up Christmas decorations. I think the town of Fuquay's beat me, or they've already started, but
They have. I don't think they may be finished.
yeah.
Can I throw something out here that would go back to this topic as well? That, if may I, in this crosswalk situation, Mayor?
Okay.
Not the ones we voted about.
It's your last.
Yeah, I'm just using all my power here tonight.
Golly.
I do wish that you would consider and look at, however, there is in front of Napper Tandy's now, with all the parking that's going on down there, there is no end of block crossing there. I'm not saying mid block again. I'm saying end of block crossing to get those people out of that parking lot across the street in the grass lot. We're about to have a new business open up on the corner there.
There may be before you leave. That's in the works.
Well, okay.
I put one. We're going to put one crosswalk there at the end of.
Bless you,
Thanks,
because-
right there at the depot. So we've got that in the works.
I hate to even, I would hint at one other thing that I would like you to look at there as well. Only because, yes, is it the way I come and go from home every day of my life? It is.
So we've got
many
we've got-
times
we've
a
got
day.
pricing on to do that, and so once we get our final pricing in, we'll go ahead and award that to the contractor. Also, what we'll do is we'll stripe all 4 intersections there, and then the striping right there beside Thanks a Latte. That hasn't been done yet because I was waiting for the guy to come back and do all the striping. So
For
we'll
the parking,
for
yeah.
the parking stalls. Yes, sir.
I wish you would glance and look at, just consider, and maybe it's other places that I'm just not aware of. When you are coming up, if you're trying to make a right-hand turn from those back new parking lots in front of Thanks a Latte, the last parking space in front of Thanks a Latte butts right up to the corner. And even if it's a car, never mind an SUV or a van, you have to inch out into the intersection because there's no clear path
Right.
to see, is there a car coming or not coming? And I would like for you to look at it and consider just the one end parking space
Yeah, that
being
is a
taken
hazard.
away.
We can
So
cut
that
one.
you
yellow,
can
so-
look, since we're adding some more in there and some other, I'm just saying for me, it's a hazard. I mean, and because
It's
many,
not for you.
okay, all right. But again, something could be saying these things in workshops and I just don't get it out of my mouth. But if you would consider that,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Okay.
While we're on DOT stuff, what's the status of 55 No Bowie Creek Road on that
So-
intersection?
So when we spoke back to the district engineer, and so they were looking into how many crashes that they had. At the time, they could not find any information on accidents. I think we had one probably in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think I was told about. But they were researching to see how many they had. One of the things they had mentioned before, probably several months ago, was going past the attorney's office and turning in. but since there's a subdivision going in there, then they won't be able to do that. So they were talking about maybe, they threw out suggestions of maybe a roundabout, in there. And so they're looking at options. So first they were doing is just see what kind of accident history they had
Right.
for that.
So cats don't have to look far. I mean, there's a lot of accidents there. But anyway, one of the other considerations is making a right-hand turn there, like they did at 210 and 401, where it used to do the same thing in Lillington, and they actually made a right-hand turn, so you have to stop and make a right turn to go in there. There's enough room there. I think they can do something like that.
Then they would say, yeah, we can see if they have researched that to see. That was the right turn I mentioned, is going past the attorney's office and being able
Right.
to
Well,
turn.
this is right there at Old Bowie's where they could actually modify the road, so you have to, instead of being a fork, it's just you have to go up and make a right-hand turn to get onto Old Bowie Street right there.
Okay.
Because we got to do something, because it's bad there. It's and the traffic is, even trying to get out of there in the morning is really bad.
Okay.
So we need to do something even if we have to put 2 stop signs up there, maybe on 55 to stop the traffic to let them go through. We need to do something.
Okay. All right.
Well, Jimmy, as my 10th grade English teacher in Rocky Mount used to say with partial tongue in her cheek, "You done good."
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That's not good English. Okay. All right. Manager's report.
Mayor and board, I am proud to inform you that our audit was turned in timely and there were no findings, and it is crucial that it would be turned in by October 31st so that we can follow through with our plan for financing for the police station. Trunk or Treat was a great success. We estimated between 3,000 and 4,000 people, and I especially want to recognize Chrissy Porter, who is new here with us, Derek McLean, and Austin Yarborough, Lee Thompson, and the police department, because they worked very hard to pull that event off, and that's an all-day thing and very dedicated and good staff to be able to pull off an event like that. The agreement with Ting has been finalized. They are working in town right now as we speak. They're doing utility locates. They're starting in the center of town by Town Hall and then moving outward. As far as personnel and recruitment, we are seeking a new finance director. The job ad has been posted in several locations. Graduate schools have been contacted to see if they will pass along to their alumni. Our utility billing clerk resigned. She's working out her notice and training Cecilia Stevenson, who is going to take over that position. And Cecilia has been with the town for several years. And as far as our facilities, there were some items that needed repair at 32 West William Street, which we're calling the Annex, Town Hall Annex. We're working on removing the carpet and installing vinyl plank flooring. We're going to paint. There were some air quality issues that are going to be addressed. And we're moving right along with that. And also lights are going to be placed on the building to match the depot.
Can I speak on that for just one moment, for 2 seconds again? And I know it did when we purchased it. I just want to clear up something that I happened to hear, just to spell. We know how rumors fly quickly and unsubstantiated. But I had gotten word through someone that it had been said that we purchased a building that was ridden with mold and needed to be demolished. Well, people, we didn't. We have better judgment. We would never allow anything like that to happen. But it's quick. It's amazing how fast things like that can spread. No, we did every test. It went way beyond what you would test your own home should you be buying it. And yes, there were some mold spores found, not active. And I would say if you go underneath your house, I know a company went under mine recently to just check that I had some, but they were not active. positive. But we are treating that situation, of course, and the new paint and removing any carpet. But we would never. I'm so excited about the purchase of that building. I think we're going to see a lot of things come from it in the future. But we would never waste tax dollars to go buy a building that was needed to be torn down. So I thought, let me clarify that one before it spreads too quickly, because when I'm asked on the street, I'm like, what? Where did you hear that? But
And we actually took photos that day. A lot of us took photos, and we can always put them up on Facebook or whatever and let everybody know what the house looks like inside. It does not have that at all.
no,
Right.
other than paint, like I said, it's ready for them to move into, which is so great. But
Yep, we
I'm
got
excited
very
what I
lucky.
see the future of that building being as we build a new town hall, as we relocate people. I feel that it is a bang for the buck.
It's going to be really important for our planning department to be able to help home builders and citizens who are, doing additions and renovations to their house, because it's a little cramped in our current location.
Over there? What do you mean?
Right here.
Okay.
So when do you think it'll be ready? Mid-December?
I think the end of the year. I think they can't move until the end of the year.
Great.
But we can decorate it for Christmas.
Right on.
Okay, do what y'all want.
Anything
I
else
was just hoping they would be out in December.
from the board?
No?
Okay. Anything from the town board? Well, Alan, this is our last full meeting. It's been real.
But I'm told we have to come back. We will be back up here to
That's
start
a
the meeting on.
partial meeting,
So
yes.
I'm not saying goodbye to anybody yet. You're not done with me yet.
I'm not saying goodbye. I'm just pointing out. Okay.
This is the last full meeting.
Right.
As this group. Yes.
As us.
December, there's no meeting?
There's a meeting.
No.
But the new one's
They will take over the new business and we'll handle the old.
In January.
no, it's not.
December.
Oh, and me stupid.
What?
The reality will sink in January, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oops.
Well, as a board, I've enjoyed working with you.
Hey,
Thank you so much.
it's been a pleasure. Yes. Yes.
Thank
you. Well, thank you. Okay.
All I can say is these new people, do not be afraid to fill my shoes and ask as many as questions as you need to ask. Nobody looks stupid asking questions. And, I didn't come in here with a lot of experience either. And I say, ask away. That's how the public gets informed as to why you make the decisions you make. But your asking questions may inform somebody else down there. And I'm all about, don't be afraid to ask questions, because you can't know the answers to everything, and it's new to a lot of you. I ask the questions, and I'll be right out there sitting and listening to you and listening to those answers, because that's how you make decisions.
Okay. Right on. They're here. Were there any staff reports that we needed, or are y'all in their files? Okay. Well, it's been real. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I will make the motion. I want to close it out there too. But just a reminder, as it was said earlier, to everybody online and here, do not forget, since we aren't having that meeting, that the 1st of December is our tree lighting in town. For all you new people, it is not to be missed. It is really quite wonderful with the hay rides. And then, of course, the parade is the next morning at 10 o'clock. And so you don't want to miss those things, all right? I make a motion that we adjourn this evening's meeting.
All in favor, rise.
Rise.
Let's go.